Assalamu alaikum, and a very good evening to all distinguished participants, colleagues, students, and guests joining from different parts of the world. On behalf of the Law and Policy Center, it's my pleasure and a great honor to welcome you all in the inaugural section of the Law and Policy Center Public Lecture Series. Let me begin by introducing the vision and the purpose of the Law and Policy Center. The same center has been created as a platform where research, dialogue, and consulting can come together to inform the law reform and policy formulation. The idea behind it is very clear. The law and policy matter deeply in shaping the kind of society we are living in, and if we want a society that is just and equitable, then we must think critically about how our laws and policies are designed and applied and reformed. What makes this initiative unique is its emphasis on bringing people from diverse backgrounds into conversation. It is not only a space for lawyers, but also for academics, researchers, and social scientists, as well as practitioners who are engaged with the realities of governance and justice. By connecting law with social science, the center hopes to create a dialogue that is richer, more inclusive, and more capable for addressing the complex challenges of our time. At its heart, the Law and Policy Center envisions a society where justice and fairness are not just ideal, but realities. We live in a world where economics and social inequalities are rapidly increasing, and these inequalities have direct consequences for people's everyday lives. In this context, the law and policy are not abstract. They become powerful tools that can either widen these gaps or help close them. The center committed to ensure that they are used to promote fairness, equity, and social justice. The Law and Policy Center seeks to become a bridge between the scholarship and practices, producing ideas that can translate into fairer laws, better policies, and a more inclusive future. We are deeply honored to have Professor Dr. Shahadat Hossain deliver the inaugural lecture of the series. Professor Hossain is a distinguished academic whose teaching and research career span more than 2 decades across Bangladesh and Australia. After completing his graduation from University of Dhaka, he began his teaching career at the University of Rajshahi before returning to his alma mater, the University of Dhaka, as a faculty member. His academic journey also includes serving as a visiting professor at Western Sydney University. Professor Hossain holds a PhD in sociology from the University of New South Wales, Australia, as well as a Doctor of Jurisprudence from the Faculty of Law at the University of Technology, Sydney. He is the author of well-regarded book, Urban Poverty in Bangladesh, published by the IB Tenures in London. And he is currently working on a new volume titled Law and Urban Justice in Bangladesh. His scholarship represents a rare combination of deep sociological insight and critical legal analysis. In today's lecture, Professor Hossain will address a subject of immense importance: the way in which poverty itself in being criminalized in urban Bangladesh. He will discuss how the urban poor, many of whom have lived with decades in informal settlement on government land face eviction through the combined pressure of the state institutions and real estate markets. These evictions often lead to displacement, homelessness, and heightened vulnerability, sometimes even the defiance of court order. The lecture will shed a light on how existing law and criminal justice mechanisms are deployed not to protect the marginalized, but to make them more vulnerable and stigmatized. By exploring the idea of the right to the city, Professor Hossain will critically unpack the intersection of the urban poverty, law and justice in Bangladesh, raising urgent questions about equity, citizenship, and responsibilities of the state. We are in the privilege to have such a timely and thought-provoking topic of the inaugural session of the Law and Policy Center's lecture series. Without further delay, I now invite Professor Dr. Shahadat Hossain to deliver on criminalizing poverty, law, criminal justice, and urban poverty in Bangladesh. Professor Hossain, the floor is yours. Hello? Professor Hossain, can you hear me?
Oh, right.
Hello?
Now you can hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Now the
Okay.
floor is yours, Professor Hossain.
Okay.
Please continue, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ahad for your brief background to this program at the center that we are going to launch to make debates on law and policy issues. Today I am giving a talk. It's very informal talk because just I have started this project this year. Previously, I studied urban poverty in Bangladesh for almost 2 decades, particularly focusing on social networks, their adaptation, other things. But my new projects mainly exploring law and justice issues, particularly criminal justice system, and whether the poor have access to these criminal justice systems or not. I have started these projects early this year, and last 6-7 months I have compiled the existing literature, and also I have developed some theoretical and methodological framework, which we'll share today for your feedback. And also have done some preliminary research, and I will present some preliminary findings, actually, what I have done last 7-8 months. And this will continue another couple of years. And you are aware about the title, about the criminalizing poverty. The concept of criminalizing poverty is becoming popular among particularly social legal researchers and people who are working in the field of criminology. And particularly poor are being criminalized in the new liberal time, not only in the West, but also in developing countries. And mainly I'll focus in the context of global cities in the South, particularly from the Dhaka. And a similar process is taking place in the West as well. I'll give some example from uh, uh, particularly particular cities in the West, particularly UK and Australia. A couple of cities I can give some examples sometimes. More or less same process is going to happen. How the poor people is criminalized by the criminal justice systems. And sometimes a new debate is a criminal law, particularly is being reshaped because of poverty and migration in the West. And my point is a similar process taking place in the cities in the global South. We'll discuss here. This is the background of the project. And we understand the increasing urbanization in Dhaka, what is happening there in the last 2-3 decades. While I started my urban research on urban poverty is 1990, 92 probably. I started this study while I was undergraduate student in the University of Dhaka. And very few people studied at the same time urban poverty, urban issues, because the rural poverty dominated our uh, field. But at that time, I realized that this is the area where I should focus, and probably I have done my research monograph on this area. Then gradually did my master's thesis, did my PhD, did my postdoctoral research. I published my earlier book on this area, but my new projects in the coming year, particularly focusing on poverty in relation to law and justice. This is the area. However, I would like to give my explain my theoretical frameworks. Uh, I have reviewed the existing frameworks, and I found a few frameworks relevant for my new study. One of the framework which we already used, particularly in our previous work, and also some of you have used, like David Harvey and particularly Lefebvre, definitely still that is relevant to understand the spatial justice, particularly uh, studying cities from the social justice perspective. Still, Harvey is very relevant, and also Lefebvre. And the book Harvey published in 1972, The City and the Social Justice, is still very relevant book. That is his Marxist analysis of city, some sort of. And last 50 years, he's doing the same urban studies in different you know, context, mainly Western context, particularly he started from British urban geographer, then American context, and also extensively writing in other parts of the world, including China as well. Lefebvre is French sociologist, particularly his production of space is also very significant one. This is a sociological work, and not a sociology, urban geography, particularly. Another framework I have found useful that is coming from anthropology, that is also very relevant, is question of urban citizenship. Uh, James Houston, who have studied in the context of Latin American context, particularly cities of Brazil, Sao Paulo, and he tried to explain that disjunctions between democracy and modernity, how democracy has failed to address the urban inequality in Brazil, and huge number of people are living in the margin, and new type of insurgent citizenship has been developed in urban areas, particularly Brazil. That is, anthropological research is also very useful in the field of urban citizenship. And many social legal scholars also using this kind of analysis as well for studying urban citizenship. Another framework developed by sociologist and criminologist, Locke Wakan, and probably you are familiar with his work because he was co-author of Pierre Bourdieu and very authority and sociologist in the last 20, 30 years, particularly. Um, he has developed this framework, is criminalizing poverty in the context of both sides of the Atlantic, both USA and France as well. And he has tried to find out how the neoliberal state are penalizing the poor people, particularly in terms of imprisonment, other things. And many poor people are being imprisoned in a recent time because of their poverty situation. Therefore, his works in the field of criminology and sociology is very significant and also very relevant here. And now some sociological scholars, particularly explain the context from UK that is also relevant, Kelly and Chirac, and they are explaining how criminalizing homelessness is taking place in the British cities, and they are probably their critical books on neoliberal policies, social policies and criminal justice in the context of UK, published by Bristol University Press in last year. That's I found very fascinating for explaining urban policy um, from critical perspectives, how these policies criminalizing the poor people in the context of the West. The similar process is taking place in the South as well. And another framework I found interesting that is a combination of legal scholar and sociologists, particularly who are developing ideas like human rights cities. Human rights cities is in the context of global South. particularly Omen and Davies, they're developing their framework for studying human rights cities because their argument is the human rights violations are mainly taking place in the cities. Therefore, if you want to study human rights violation, you have to study the cities because most of the problems in the cities areas. Therefore, cities has to be studied from the lens of human rights. These are the existing theoretical framework I found relevant for my research that is coming from sociologists, criminologists, anthropologists, and legal scholars as well. And this is the framework. I would like to combine this framework and develop my own framework that can be useful for explaining the global south for you know studying um, urban justice, and that could be also useful study for new social legal research in the context of urban areas. And then I would like to move my data and methodology, what kind of methodology I can use. And in recent time, I found very interesting studies conducted by Harvard Law School. And Harvard Law School is focusing on empirical legal research, particularly empirical social legal research. And the group, they have established a center and they have a journal as well, very prominent journal. And they're studying, a number of conducting a number of empirical legal research, particularly from on different social legal perspective. And therefore, they're using some sort of ethnography, legal ethnography, urban ethnography, whatever, you can say political ethnography. Anyway, I say like ethnography research in legal sector. And they're, most of them are they're coming from legal background, and they are doing very fascinating research that I found useful, such kind of social legal empiricism. What I'm trying to do, some social legal empiricism, and by using ethnography, urban ethnography, and I, I am doing ethnography in two sites in Dhaka. One of the sites in city center. You are familiar about the Coral. It's a very well-studied area, but it's hard to find very serious academic work. Most of the works are done on Coral, particularly from NGOs and other probably policymaker, but very few works on Coral can be found from uh, which can be useful for academic research, serious academic work for theoretical research. That's why I found Coral can be one of them. And another suburb, I did some research there on suburban Dhaka, particularly Sabar Purushoba area, in Sabar area, because there is a new deaneries there. Why I have chosen Sabar? Because Sabar become the new area of manufacturing poverty. Manufacturing poverty is garments workers are living there, and new forms of poverty are developing there. People, it's hard to survive in the city center for jobs and other things. They're moving to the peripheries. Therefore, that's the distribution. Therefore, I have collected few, already conducted some ethnography, but still I have to done more. And this is the ethnography. And I will also use some interviews with policymakers, particularly working in the government, particularly local government sectors, particularly city corporations and purushabas. At the same time, in different departments of government. At the same time, I have to conduct interview with UN bodies like UN Habitats, and also other bodies like UNDP, who are also working on urban poverty and some uh, legal issues, particularly legal. They're also doing some legal framework for the settlement issues and urban habitat issues, and also some INGOs who are developing some programs like World Vision, because I used to work as a consultant in World Vision for developing an urban project in Dhaka for a couple of years, but still they have some interest, but they couldn't develop such kind of urban project that could be significant here. And one of Saifullah was involved with my project. Saifullah knows about these things. And and also other local NGOs who are providing some services, particularly legal services for the urban poor, because the urban poor have very limited access to legal justice system. Many of them they can afford lawyer, they can they do not get any support because they often face evictions, other things, and the same their personal life. Sometimes they are policing violence in the slums, but they don't have adequate access to the justice system. There's a couple of organizations I found who are also dealing with uh, poor people. One of our discussant who has joined today, uh, Advocate Kazi, um, uh, he will explain this a bit more, how we can improve the situation. Kazi Iqbal. Um, this is my methodological foundations, that are my theoretical foundations that I'm planning to use in my research. And what I have found so far in last couple of months, I have done some ethnography with a couple of people they have done there, and I have found some findings. So far, it's a preliminary, very preliminary. Still, I have to done 6-7 months field work, and I'm planning to visit soon, uh, physically there. And so far, I have found some. Yeah, I have just compiled some basic findings for presenting here. It's very tentative still. I am not giving any exact data because it's based on some ethnography. I am giving just brief descriptions of what I found. And we understand, huge rural displacement taking place in Bangladesh, and many migrants are coming to the city. That's understandable. And the formation of new type of slum that is different from the previous, type of traditional slums, because we are aware about the impact of structural adjustment policy in rural structure, and how the poor people are being displaced from their rural structure and coming to the cities, not only Dhaka, and also other cities like Chittagong, Khulna. Also, I have some interest there, and I'm also planning to do some further research in Chittagong and Khulna, because I did some research on Khulna previously, but I need to do some research on Chittagong as well. Um, Russia will be different, but also the Russia is also transforming significantly. Most of the big cities, the same picture, but particularly Dhaka and Chittagong, Dhaka in particular, we understand how the people are coming from all over the Bangladesh, and particularly southern districts. Many people are coming every single day because of climate issues, is one of the things, but at the same time, uh, other issues as well. And we understand that people coming to the city is a massive migration taking place. Previously, people used to live in the city center, but city center they cannot live in city center for particularly they cannot afford it. At the same time, restructuring of labor market. That's another thing. Understand. We understand that most of the jobs are in manufacturing is taking in shifting from city center to the peripheries, and sometimes very hard to live in the city center. That's why most of the poor people are moving to the peripheries rather than a city center. Once I started my study in slums, maybe 20 years, 30 years, almost yes, 30 years ago, because most of at that time people living in the city center, and but today the situation is very different. Probably this is my new urban quality research is definitely different from the previous experiences. Because it could be interesting in terms of my revisiting the same slums again, right? What I have done from 90s to 96, yes, 2000, and for my doctoral research, I revisited again until 2005, because I finished my PhD in 2006. More or less 15 years, I did the research, the slums, but I should again revisit those areas, how it's taking place. Probably very different picture nowadays. And because people cannot afford in this city center, they are moving in different places. And that I'm talking is like following Wakam. I would like to say it's like new forms of hyper-Islamization, hyper-Islamization from Islamization to hyper-Islamization, because it's apparently shows very limited slum, but in real sense, huge numbers of slums in different way. Probably previously they lived as squatters without paying rent or the thing. Nowadays they are paying some rent, but it's a access to social services, other thing is very minimal, and is a quality of life in terms of the slums. It's a whole city, also in many areas they are paying some rent but living in very awkward condition. Therefore, it's apparently it shows slum is declining. I think slum is significantly increasing in other way. Right? It depends how we explain, how we define slums. We understand this my formation process, and also the very important thing is I would like to focus on eviction and access to the space, because the housing become very crucial. Uh, Understand, we understand, poverty was measured by calorie intake for a long time, and so economists and other people are very much, particularly economists, are very concerned about the calorie intake. But now I think, particularly in the urban context, in rural area, we understand still calorie intake is very important measurement, because housing is less important in rural areas. But in urban area, poverty has to be has to be understood from housing perspective. Housing is very crucial, because once you are spending most of your earning for housing, it's very hard to live. Therefore, housing become very crucial for explaining poverty in urban areas. And we understand the access to land and housing is very limited for people living in slums in the cities, and they're experiencing evictions, often evictions, who used to live in private and public land, and increasing value of urban land, we understand, and land grabbing is by we understand in urban peripheries how land becomes the crucial, and some politics of land grabbing, we can realize what is happening there. Um, Not only the traditional politician, but also from real estate, particularly the who are grabbing land, and people who used to live as squatters on public and private land. It's very hard to imagine nowadays, because of the increasing number of residential building, commercial building, and at the same time, development projects, particularly in the name of for the beautification of the projects. Used to, for example, Hatizil. Once upon a time, we understand Hatizil, how Hatizil transformed there, and you have many. It's a huge. I conducted my research. It's in 1993, 4, in Hatizil area, whole of slums area, Hatizil area, and day after day I went there and conducted a field work. But it's hard to imagine this is the slum. That was the slum area, right? And anyway, my point is, by demand of land, we understand the urban poor cannot afford the land. Even like Coral is one of them, very classic example. People are used to live there for a long time, but we understand from property right perspective, for living for 20 years, they have some sort of claim there, but still they are facing evictions, because I talked to a number of slum dwellers there, and they shared experience how our distinguished lawyer, Dr. Kamal Hassan, fight for them and get injunction from the court, but still they are, despite ignoring this injunction, police evicted them. And sometimes we understand the politics of fire, other thing. It's a number of pressures from different group, how this land can be taken from them in different way. And therefore, it's very land or housing become very crucial, and sometimes they cannot cope in the cities. That's why they are moving in peripheries, and there are some inequality within the slums as well. We understand because some people who used to live there for a long time, sometimes they are renting the new people. That's another issue. But more or less, generally, urban poor are experiencing housing is a crucial issue for them, particularly access to land. Then another important issue is violence and criminalizing poor people, and increasing violence in urban areas, particularly urban slums areas. Slums areas, why traditionally slums are being labeled as criminals, place of criminals. But the question is, why, like a number of times I visited Kamrang Resort areas. Now it's very different, but I'm talking my previous experiences. Alas, we know that all criminals are living there, but reality is different. Even in the Western cities, people living in different immigrant living in different certain suburbs, they're labeled a different way. And in one of my presentations previously, I talked about how the predictive policing is taking place in the Western cities, and they're using the data nowadays. In predictive policing, they're using data, and they are forecasting times which area will be targeted. And most of the cases, the immigrant, particularly certain background people coming from certain areas, these areas have been targeted, allies, because police have been patrolled in these areas. This is taking place. How the technology and crime and policing poor people is another new discourse. But in developing cities like our city, Dhaka cities, for example, we understand that predictive policing as now is still policing based on data. This is not happening in that way. But the thing is that the policing, most of the police are the things they are targeting criminals and slum cities. But how the slums in place of criminals, and how the local leaders of the thing use the slums population for political purposes of the thing, we understand the process. But the thing is that slums are generally considered as a place of crimes and violence, and this is the bottom line. And evictions also created some sort of violence in the slums areas. We understand the situation when evictions are taking place in the slums, and sometimes we understand when they cannot evict, sometimes fire taking place, and most of the fire happening in slums. Yeah, but definitely that is done by with some certain motives. Therefore, such kind of displacement is taking place, and but things that I'm not sure whether any remedies for this displacement, because we have to explore. We have to hear from lawyers and things whether poor people are getting any remedies. I don't think so, because they have been living for 10, 15, 20 years in certain areas. Suddenly they have been evicted. Even in social housing taking place in the cities of the West, very hard to evict sometimes, because they can go to the court. They have, sometimes they're protesting, many things happening, because hard to evict from certain place in the cities of the West, right? Sometimes I visited here in Sydney, in social housing projects. Sometimes government wants to develop new urban project or new housing project, but still some people are living there. Government cannot evict them. It's not easy thing. They hard until they organize something for them. People, even I found, harbor area, very lucrative area, social housing projects that started maybe 50 to 50, 100, more than 100 years ago. But still, people, their generation occupying this. Government is trying to get these things in different way. They're protesting. But in context of developing cities, anytime they can be evicted because of access to justice and legal system. And forced displacements also decline their social and cultural capital, because when someone displaces from house, home matters, right? Someone's displaced from house, displace many things. If someone have no access to particular place for living, and someone living for a long time, once they have been displaced from there, they're losing their community network, community ties. Probably someone living in certain places, they're maybe moved from here, they're living in another places, and very hard try to find, they're trying to develop again their social network, because their employment, other things sometimes depend on the network. The same things happening in the cities in the West. Maybe immigrants are also dependent on their social network ties for the work, other thing. Therefore, once someone is displaced from this land, from this place, they also displace. They also are being displaced from their social and community ties. That is significant for their survival. And the important thing is securitization. Another concept is securitization of the migrants, securitization of slums, population or poor people. Because state mechanism is in time, particularly a devising number of projects in the cities in the West, definitely in the South in another way. All policing, private securities, everything target what I mentioned, targeting the areas where poor people are living. And this is the area where red zone, other thing, hot Wakams found in Paris, the same things. Some people living in, from coming from lower class, even lower class from white background, immigrant population, all having certain type of people, all of the race and class very significant. Sometimes hard to distinguish from race and class, but both race and class is significant for explaining cities in the West. But in the cities in the South, like Dhaka, probably we will not find difference in terms of race, but it's a different type of race in terms of economic race. Poor people living in this area. This is the area where criminals are living. Something, and all over the securitization, policing, violence, everything there, and the increasing urban policy, and we understand that if we study the urban planning and policy, everything, we do not find any particular policy planning for poor people. Often, number of human habitat. I mean, like UN habitat. They're talking about cities without slums. That is unrealistic because they're planning for cities without slum. That is unrealistic. Rather than they should make a plan for city with slums, because you can also make cities without slums in developing countries where millions of people are being coming to cities for poverty and deprivation, and rather than we need policies from even habitable things how cities can be run with slum certain areas, even some functional we can find in Brazilian cities as a thing. Their situation is better. Slum population, they're living in slums, but they have sometimes they have access to certain facilities, other things, and therefore we need to make a plan for cities and slum population. Maybe how can develop low cost housing? That's another thing. But the main thing is housing is very important, crucial. And what I have mentioned is violation of human rights is very in every single day, and city become the new geography of violation of human rights, and therefore cities, in particular developing cities, is a bit different from definitely the cities in the West, because in terms of law and other things, people living in the global South, particularly in slum cities, and not only in Dhaka, many cities the same situation, I understand, maybe something different in Chinese cities for central government and local government, but most of the Indian cities were the same, and other South Asian cities, for more or less same, like Dhaka, and like Bangladesh, and definitely in other cities like African cities. It's need to be concerned about their rights and access to housing as human right issues, definitely, and we have to address this. If, I think I'll take very few more minutes. How we can conclude these things? I'm talking so many issues here. Uh, uh, thing is that I understand from the issues of urban marginality in relation to new liberal policies adopted not only in the West and also in developing countries, in how the privatization of healthcare, privatization, education, privatization, everything and how the real estate companies developing. This privatization process is the real factor for increasing inequality and deprivation, especially in the urban areas. All areas, including rural urban, but urban areas in particular, is very more visible. Therefore, we have to explain this urban policy in relation to neoliberal economic policy, because it's very important thing, and we have to acknowledge that urban space as the important, the crucial site for conflict and violence, and huge number of accumulating poverty accumulating poverty in taking places, and huge number of poor people are being every single day facing violence by police violence, and particularly in increasing number of imprisonment from the poor people. That another important issue has to be addressed by from social legal researchers, definitely, and democracy is working in many developing countries. We understand we are struggling for democracy, but more or less, what happened in democracy and how even uh, inequality is reproduced within democracy as well. Therefore, we understand democracy is needed, but I'm not sure how far inequality can be reduced from democracy. I'm not sure about that, and it is increasing significantly. And who are the victim of the circumstances? Who are the mainly the poor people living in slums. They are the victim of the circumstances. And what I mentioned, the rise in the question of citizenship become very crucial, urban citizenship, and particularly the concept of insurgent citizenship is developing. People are becoming insurgent, all about violent. Why people are becoming violent? Everything because once someone is being deprived from their rights and uh, you know uh, uh, they're psychologically they're violent and because they want to get their rights, but the system sometimes doesn't permit the one thing. And uh, how do we need? We need an inclusive and equitable city. The question is how. How we can make cities more equitable and more just cities. And just cities, definitely, we understand urban policy. But bottom line is law is very matter. Law matters. Law and policy matters, and we have to. We understand if we compare the urban cities in India and China, definitely situation in China is better than India um, because of China has even they have significantly improved by their legal system, improving the condition of poor people, and sometimes legal systems, law matters, and we have to introduce law, and even for reducing poverty, we understand the limitation of charities, other things, NGOs nowadays, and uh, yeah, it will not significantly work. Rather than the government policy planning law matters for poverty, I would not say alleviation, poverty reduction. Therefore, policy and law matters, and there's a urban law in particular, and becoming a new area of study in the many law school, social sciences. Definitely, I say combined program. Sometimes Harvard Law School also offering the degrees like law and urban program, urban design, something like that. It's a, many universities are law schools are offering these courses, something urban law, particularly combining law and urban development, urban settlement. The urban law could be a significant area. And a couple of years ago, I heard a lecture from British Sarah Hossain. She was talking about urban law in Bangladesh. I'm not sure how far it has been developed. Probably our advocate Kaji Jaidan can give some uh, uh, idea about this. And uh, yes, uh, this is my presentation. This is a very informal talk, but still I'm working. Your feedback on my theory, methodology, or any will be highly appreciated. Thank you.
Uh, Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Shahadat Hossain, sir. Uh, Now, I would like to open the floor. So, yes, if anyone wants to raise your hand, or I'd like to request Dr. Muhammad Khurshid Alam, sir, to say something about today's lecture. Sir, you will open the discussion session, then we will uh, start with the speaker as well. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Shahadat Hossain, for your excellent presentation. I'd say that although it is an opening, session, but I found it very, extensive and very useful, covering both theoretical, background as well as other issues, particularly empirical issues as well. So first, I'd like to give one information to you that there is one project undertaken by WASA. It is funded by ADB, where they are doing legal literacy in slums. So it's a huge number. Actually, my organization is also involved with that one, but another person is there who is taking care of that project with another NGO, big NGO. So we are implementing one project on legal literacy in slum in Dhaka city.
It is
So
yeah.
that may be useful for you. So this is one information. Second thing, uh, another interesting thing that happened, I think 2 months back, the how the slum people are, mobilized. A unique technique they have developed. Our home a maid that she is also living in slum, that is the multi-storied building now turned into slum. I have visited at least two buildings where each family is living in one room, and they have the common cooking place. So there are a lot of hundreds of these kind of families are there. They are just rickshaw puller and other types of low income people are living there. So what the political people did, they actually give elude them by saying that if you go to Shahbag, government will give you some loan of 50,000 taka. So they have thus mobilized, I think, not less than 200, slum dwellers there, and but when they went there, they do not know actually who is going to them, but they have been told that the government will give them fund. But when they have gone there, journalists ask them who has invited you to come over here, who is going to give you loan or what's it. They could mention nothing. They don't know anybody of them. Only some political agent has actually mobilized them. So this is another technique of mobilization of the slum dwellers for various political purpose. So that is another information I would like to share with them, that it may be with you also, that it may be useful for your study. I think that is another very, this is not only in their slum, it is taking from other places also. For example, when I come across some group protesting something, I found that many of them are not belonging to that target group. They are slum dwellers or some other people who are actually man of the street like this. The third point that you have mentioned is very important. That is one big issue, the theoretical issue for you, is that whether the criminalization of poor people, or you can rethink over it like criminalization of whole society. I see now it is not the criminalization of poor in Bangladesh. It is criminalization of whole society, and the poverty and the poor criminalization is part of that. Or do you have any scope to really distinguish between these two? Because the whole society from top to bottom, it is criminalized now. I see, at least in my everyday experience, I am actually talking about that one, and about the criminalization of poverty. So now, how can you really make a distinction between these two is a big question. I see that whether, and secondly, which is influencing what, whether the criminalization of whole society is influencing the criminalization of poverty or poor, or whether the poor criminalization in turn actually captured the whole society. I don't think that the second one is the thing that can be proved very easily, but the first one is very clear and visible. I mean, it is top to bottom, the whole society is now criminalized. Thank you for your good presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Alam. Yeah. You are
Thank
right.
you, sir, for your insightful comments. So
Dr. is
now,
very
Russell Hussain, you raised your hand. Russell, please, can you please speak out and say some words on the
Uh,
today's discussion?
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Professor Dr. Shahadat Hossain. We are actually very well known
give,
about
give,
all
your-
these
give,
theories that.
your who are you? Tell something. Many
Oh,
people.
okay. So I'm Dr. Russell Hussain, and currently I'm an assistant professor at the Department of Sociology, East West University, and I completed my PhD on information economy and in the line of marginalization of the urban poor. So we have been introduced with these theories by the lectures of Professor Dr. Shahadat Hossain back in 2012, 2013, and 2014 in the Department of Sociology when we are the students of the Dhaka University. So, after being introduced with these theories, we have come to lots of empirical evidences that Luke Wakant, Mike Davis, David Harvey, Saskia Sassen, Manuel Cassels, and Arjun Appadurai, and Henry Lefebvre, and many other scholars are actually trying to talk about how the poor are being marginalized in the city. So, Professor Dr. Shahadat Hossain already talked about physical displacement, but I wanted to add something a bit extra, which I could say a digital displacement. So the urban poor are now not only in the era of information economy or the network society, or in the platform economy, gig economy, whatever the economy you're trying to say. In all these platforms economy, the poor are actually digitally displaced. So by saying digitally displaced, I also introduced a new term which is called new marginalizations. So the urban poor were previously, in terms of physical displacement, they were marginalized, and but in the era of digital divide, now the marginalized group of people are more and more displaced in terms of access to digital platforms. So that makes them, on one hand, physically displaced, and another one hand in terms of getting different kinds of digitalized services from the governments at national levels, international levels as well. So uh, when I explored the fourth world order of Manuel Castells and network society and their relationships with the Putnam theory of social capital, I found that its linkage with the technology acceptance models. I found people of the urban poor are actually becoming more and more displaced from the center point of attractions in terms of getting access to digital services, because throughout the last 15 years or more, we have been thinking about or talking about the digitalization of Bangladesh, cashless economy, mobile banking, and many other platforms. But according to the data of Bangladesh Bureau of Statistics and BTRC, uh, a small segment of the populations are digitally literate actually in Bangladesh, in terms of Bangladesh society, and let alone the the urban poor people. So first of all, only 38% of the populations, according to BTRC data, they have access to the digital smartphone. And out of those 38% of the populations, only 20% are digitally literate. So whatever the digital inclusions you're trying to add, or digital governance you are trying to add, or digital services you're trying to add, that actually keep urban poor more and more segregated and out of these kinds of services. And that makes me much more worried about the digital displacement of the poor group of populations, because I would like to give an example. During the COVID-19 19 when the vaccination was circulated across the country, it was the slum people who was the most vulnerable in terms of getting access to the vaccinations, because when government introduced a vaccination system, they must the digital system, they have to apply, they have to may open an account, they have to apply, and they have to book the slot using mobile, using internet, and they must have their own phone number. So at the first phases, when governments see that is not possible or feasible to address this group of populations, then government hired some volunteers to send to these slums. And then only then, because then they found that they were not included in the process, because of they are unable to get access to these kinds of digital inclusion process. So and the second phase and third phase, so they got the
Any,
vaccination at the end of the process. So that makes me very much interested about the digital governance
any,
systems.
any, you have any suggestion for how technology is being used for penalizing poor, criminalizing poor?
I would like to give another example, sir. Very interestingly, Dhaka North City Corporation and Dhaka South City Corporation, previously people can go and just lodge different kinds of complaint on their offices. But after they now launch different kinds of apps systems again to lodge any kinds of community problems. If they want to so again or notice anything's wrong, then they can lodge the problem in the internet. So again, these are the way the slum dwellers, they have no access to this internet process, they don't know how to work on these things, and these are the another way that actually makes them more the situation is actually out of their control. This is another problem, and third problem is also so the in alignment, when you are trying to talk about digitalization, you need to keep it in mind that whom you are actually trying to add, or whom at concern you are actually trying to address, because a large portion of the people is still now out of the internet, out of the digital society.
Yes,
So my
I
my
understand.
suggestion is, sir, I'm coming to your point, sir. My suggestion is to, without ensuring the digital literacy, and inclusion of the most of the group of populations, you really cannot ensure digital services in a country. That will make the poor more burden for the society will be much more burden for this group of population. So it's very important to ensure the digital services, digital literacy in across the different sections of the society. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, useful.
Yes,
Thank you.
Dr. Russell, you can continue, Dr. Russell.
Yes.
Yeah,
Dr.
thank you.
Russell?
I'm done here.
Yeah,
If you have any
you can
questions, I
continue.
can.
No,
Okay.
anything more, Russell?
No, I'm fine here, sir. If any questions from the floor, I can reply.
Yes,
Thank you
just
very much.
yeah, later I'll raise question. Yeah, at the end of discussion. Yeah.
Okay, so may I request the other participants? I can see Mr. Alumgi Shariar.
No,
You're
just
from
we have some
Sudan, right? Shariar, unhear.
Zaman,
Yes,
Zaman.
sir.
We have a few, already.
Yes,
Shahriar definitely
hello.
contribute. We have 2, 3 people who are waiting, right? And
Okay.
that there's been discussion like
Okay. Sure.
Dr. Qazi Zahid Iqbal. I can tell you, Dr. Zahid Iqbal, Dr. Zahid Iqbal, Professor Mahmoud Rahman from Rajshahi University, right?
Yeah.
This is the and Alonghi Shariar, he can continue. Yes, Alonghi Shariar, go ahead.
Sir, can I join after or can I discuss over it after a few minutes, please?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Okay. No issues. No
Thank you,
issues.
sir. Thank you.
So now I'd like to
Thank
request
you, sir.
Dr. Qazi Zahid Iqbal. Can you hear us? Can you hear us, Dr. Zahid Iqbal? Qazi Zahid Iqbal? Are you here?
Yes, I'm here, and just a minute.
Yes. Please
Yes.
say a few words.
Thank you, thank you, the organizers for organizing this fine event, and thank you, Dr. Shahadat Hossain, for your thoughtful article, and I hope it would turn to a very good article in future. As you said that you are working on it, and it is just starting of your works in this regard. Uh, I have two suggestions regarding legal issues. That one is, I think there is a serious economic issue in criminalizing or criminal activities of these slum dwellers. That is, maximum people of this slum dwelling people comes from the natural calamity area or after lost their inhabitants or other working atmosphere of their area. They when they bound to when they lost everything for the erosion of the river or any natural calamity, then they are compelled to come to the cities, especially in Dhaka. Here we have almost 2 crores of people in Dhaka city. And most of them, or a big portion of that people, resides in the slums. Sometimes we see that they don't have any works. I think at least some type of decent works, and at that juncture they sometimes bound to or compelled to join the uh, many hooligans or political hooligans. They hired them to do some political chaos and other things. This is the one point. And the other point is, but they get some money from this, or they extract some money from these political activities. And you see that these people uh, generally works for every political parties. If you see the political rallies or political activities, you see the same set of people are joining the political rallies or political programs and getting some monies or like this. This is the problem, and this is the political part. Sometimes the local political people or political hooligans sometimes hired these people to do many things, chaos or do some unethical or law breaking works, all these things. Nowadays, and then second thing is nowadays, if you see the scenario of our legal workings in this country, at this moment, the government has increased some legal aids, or the government already increased legal aids periphery for the ports, and recently in 2025, government has issued an ordinance regarding or spreading the legal aid periphery. And there are, sorry?
No, yes, go ahead, please.
And very recently, Bangladesh Legal Aid, you have mentioned that Sarah Hossain, the Bangladesh Legal Aid and Legal Aid blast that I mean, under the leadership of Sarah Hossain is working for this peripheral people who are dwelling in the slums or and ensuring for their legal rights and human rights, and ASK, that is Ain and Shalish Kendro, and so many NGOs are working to ensure their legal rights and human rights. So if you contacted or if you collected data from these NGOs, that is BLAST, Bangladesh Legal Aid and Services Trust, Ain Shalish Kendro, or like this type of NGOs who are working on the legal rights and human rights of the slum dwellers and peripheral people, you may get a better scenario of the legal situation of this the Dhaka city at this moment. And one more thing, that is the access to the justice of these peripheral people is actually tough at this moment, because economic issues are there to hire a good lawyer or to face the legal issues for a long period. It is a tiresome and economic issues are there. So I think if government take some initiatives to spread their hands or to take some more steps to give legal aids to these peripheral people, they could be the situation could be more better in future, and the NGOs should be come forward to help these people for their legal to establish their legal rights. This is for I'm all for this time, and if you want to know more from these issues, I can provide you the data and other things later on.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jayed. So now I like to request
Professor Mahmoud is here.
Professor Wright, Professor Dr. Mahmoud Rahman from Ranchi University. So can you hear us? Professor Mahmoud Rahman, can you hear us, sir?
I can see him, but probably. Anyway, you can continue. Alamgir Shahri, I can continue. Yeah, then Mahmoud.
Alamgir Shahri, are you here? Do you want to continue now?
Yeah, I'm here. Do you listen me?
Yes, you are clear. You're audible.
Do you hear me? Okay. Thank you. So, while I was listening Shahadat Hussain
Tell
sirs,
about you. About
because
you.
yeah, I'm Alamgir Shahriar from England. I live in Birmingham. It's the second, the second largest city of England. And I did my MA in education here recently. And previously, I did my master's from sociology department. And Shahadat Hussain sir was my direct teacher. And I'm quite known about this subject while I was listening. And I was trying to relate these things with my experience I have been in last 3 years in England. So particularly, I want to focus on two issues and my experience in the light of the discussion I have had. So if anyone here, I hope you may have watched this documentary. This is done by Tanbir Mukammel, one of our leading director in Bangladesh. So he did it. The documentary name is Shimanto Rekha. So he did it on the partition of Bengal. So after 1947. So many people, particularly the Hindi communities, they went in Kolkata particularly, and some nearby cities of the Bangladesh border. And they had to live in some slums. And uh, I was, I don't know, our researchers somehow, maybe they relate these things to the past experience to the present. And they had to live in the slums and they had to go through, and many of them were from a very well-off families and left their properties in Bangladesh. And huge people lived in the slums in Kolkata and the surrounding cities. So particularly, I do request Shahadat Hussain sir to, if any, because as
Yeah,
one of the
yeah.
leading researcher on
Yes, I
these
understand.
issues.
But can you
So
can you
sir
relate
would
your
focus on the past. Yeah.
can you relate your work on education, informal education to slums? Something. Can you relate something
Okay.
from your own work?
Yeah.
That will help
Okay.
me.
So yeah, I'm listening, sir. So I want to focus that uh, this is how the big number of people. I want to relate on the that how the political and religious identity also makes a victim of the people uh, and force them to be slum dwellers. It's one of the things from the past, the history of Bangladesh. And I'm focusing on my second issues, the experience I've been in England recently. So I live in the second largest city of the England, is Birmingham. So, and particularly, I have also experience of living some areas which is inhabited by the mostly Bengali communities and African communities. Interesting thing is here some areas, especially the areas are developed in the 19th centuries. So these areas are now we can call it's a kind of modern slums. Uh, and how do these areas are modern slums? Because this pattern of the Victorian houses and they don't have the car parkings, they don't have the gardens and many urban facilities now we do. And but here the mostly these areas was inhabited by the white peoples, but they left in 80s, 70s, and now these areas are occupied by the immigrants mostly. And the crime rate, if any of the research is done by this in these areas, uh, crime rate and other things, especially which is big issues in the social concept, are very high rate in these areas. Even not in Birmingham, even in England also, particularly the East London these areas, the crime rate, and so these are the things I was when I was listening your speech, sir. So how the lifestyles and the environment and the um, housing facilities impact the people's lives. Uh, I can relate with your speech. Anyway, thank you. I'm cutting here my speech, sir. So thank you. I'm so enlightened to listen your speech, and just I shared my experience and views with you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan Gisharier. Thank you very much. I don't want to actually miss the opportunity to add something, sir, if you can permit me.
Sure. Sure,
Okay,
go ahead.
so I think, sir, in your research, one thing that we're facing currently in Bangladesh, which is Kishore gang culture. So I think you know about Kishore gang culture, and the slum areas, especially Kuril and other Kamrangitori mentioned, these are very instrumental to create this Kishore gang, and also some technological issues, TikTok and something other else that can be more insightful, I think. Another way that, I am doing my research on climate change, so I can see some climate refugees in our slum areas. So if you can add these things, I'm not sure how could you incorporate these things. I think that would be more insightful. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Moin. Dr. Ibrahim Khalil here.
Sir, one thing I can add with my previous talk. Two things you can see in recent Bangladesh, that the order from the high courts to
Yes.
protection of the slums are not always working, because sometimes the hooligans or some you may call the stalwarts of the area, sometimes the match ignited the fires in the slums or other places that they desire to grab, and then they evicted all these peoples. At this point, the law is actually became infractuous or became helpless at this. You can at this point too. This is the new phenomenon of this. You see the new phenomenon of the grabbing of the land at this time.
Thank you. Thank you for mentioning this. Yeah. And if you find any relevant case law in relation to remedies, other thing regarding poor people evictions.
No, there are several orders from the higher courts on behalf of the slum dwellers and other peripheral people. True. But sometimes the heavyweight, I can mention one case, at least very recent case, erstwhile Awami League government's one of the stalwart, Taposh, has evicted a portion of the horizons from the South City Corporation, defying the High Court's order.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much.
For insightful things. Okay, so thank you. I think we cannot listen. Dr. Mahmudur Rahman from Raj University. Sir, Mahmudur Rahman, sir, are you here? Can you say something, sir?
Is Mahmudur Rahman here?
Sir?
Probably he's not in. Also, other people raise hand.
Yes, he's in here. He's in here. Sir, please, floor is yours. If you can add something with Shahadat Hossain. Please, sir. Yes,
Hello.
we can hear you. We can hear you, sir.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes,
yes.
Yes, actually, I'd like to make some comments. Professor Shahadat Hossain said housing, but in my comment, I would like to say affordable housing and then sources of income and basic needs. These three issues are crucial in mitigating urban criminalization of urban poverty. Even I can say that not only criminalization of urban poverty, but also politicization of urban poverty and
Yes.
governance issue. If you see that in Dhaka city, especially in Mirpur area, Works Ministry constructed a few tower for the urban poor, but
Yes.
some rich people, even government officials, somehow got the allotment of that floods. I can't think how is this possible in our country. Even the previous government took a project, Ghare Kormoshuchi, Gutsugram project, but in some cases, the location of the project was not suitable. Even the construction was not sustainable. Poor construction, even mismanagement. Actually, these issues are governance issue. And in my city, where I am living nearly for about 29 years, Rajshahi city, less crime and less pollution, but urban poors are increasing in this city gradually. Unlimited three wheelers are increasing, and accidents are frequently in the city regularly. Even
Yes.
slums are increasing in this city. Destitute people are available in the markets, in the streets, but no eviction in Rajshahi city. A lot of urban poor are coming to the city from the rural areas. But after 5 August, I can say that no administration or no action for the destitute peoples. This is my observation actually, and I would like to say thank you to the organizer of this program, and I'd like to say thank you very much to Professor Saudodoshan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Mahmoud Rahman. Still, I remember
Thank you.
I visited the slums with you in Rajshahi. The
Yes, in
yeah, for the
1998, 28 years back.
yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
Uh, Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Mahmoud Rahman from Raj University.
Yes.
So, if we could listen uh,
Someone raised hand. Ananya Zaman.
more comments.
Ananya Zaman.
Yes, more comments.
He raised his hand.
Uh,
Dr. Ibrahim Khalil.
Hello.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Am I audible, sir? Uh, hello.
Okay,
yes,
okay.
you are.
So
Oh, no, Jaman.
okay, okay.
You are.
So basically, my question was regarding the
Or
essence of
Jaman, can you please introduce yourself?
Oh, sorry.
Please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ananya Zaman. I work at as an administrative officer at the Center for Bay of Bengal Studies, IUB. Uh, so I'll keep it simple. My question was in regards to the point that sir mentioned. So it was referring to political accountability. So in an absence of a strong political system, uh, what are the necessary steps that can be taken to basically protect the poorest? Because they're the most vulnerable in terms of exploitation when it comes to issues like social integration, when it comes to getting used as what you call political muscle. So the kind of actions to enhance capacity building. So, sir, I just wanted to ask that.
Thank you. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Ananda Zaman. Thank you very much. So, sir,
One more,
would you
Doctor.
like to answer few questions, or then?
Yes, one more discussion. Dr. Ibrahim Khalil, want to add
Okay,
something
Ibrahim Khalil.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
from the context of Borisal?
Yeah, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, you're audible.
Uh,
Give example from
Thank you,
Borisal.
sir. Yes, yes. I am speaking from Borishal, and I am working at Government Rosamond College.
Yes.
Actually, I'm sorry I was late for this and could not hear the presentation of Dr. Shahadat sir. But I uh, was I got some information from the discussion that the discussion gave in the platform. But I think the initiative that has been taken by Shahadat Hossain sir is really worthy, and it will be very helpful for us. I cannot at the moment tell the specific comments because the paper I didn't listen because I was traveled with some family issues. That is why I did not join.
Okay.
I hope to join in future, and I will be grateful if Shahadat Hossain sir can provide the presentation so that I can read and communicate with him later on and give some inputs in the context of Borishal. But thing is that all of you know that Borishal is one of the vulnerable areas, especially climate vulnerable areas. From Satkira, I nowadays I see many people, especially rickshaw pullers, in the streets who are coming from Satkira area, and that is one of the most vulnerable, and uh, that was very devastated by the previous cyclones. So they are involved in many criminal activities. From my personal experience, I am telling, and I think if Shahadat Hossain sir take this area in future as a research field, then it will be more representative in the context of Bangladesh. So with these few words, I am again thanking Shahadat Hossain sir for taking such wonderful initiative, and hope we'll be together in future. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Uh, Thank you. So I think, Shahaduddin sir, I think you should say something.
Any question
Then
for other
we'll have
participants?
the discussion again. Sir?
Any question for other participants?
Yes.
Any other question for participants? Can you hear me?
I have one question. Professor Sadat,
Yes.
I have one
Yes.
question. Why there is no women participant in our, this discussion? I don't know.
Oh.
Is there anything unique with this? Is there anything unique with this session?
Sir, I second you. Sir, Khurshid Alam, sir, I second you.
Yes. Yeah.
Next time
Gender
we
discrimination.
next time we will be careful about the participant. We'll select
Yeah.
some.
So,
I think we have to
there,
take care. I
sir,
just want
there is a
No, no,
student that
I was expecting Samina will participate. Probably she couldn't.
exactly, yeah.
So I can see one of my student in here. Tasmia Tasnim Moon. Are you here, Tasmia Moon? If you want to say something, probably she's not in here. She joined.
Anyway, just
Anyways, okay,
very quick response. Yeah.
right, sir.
First of all, yes, definitely. Dr. Khurshid Alam has rightly pointed out about digital legal literacy in slums, and that would be very useful for me to have a look on these projects. And Russell Hossain, yes, I do agree. Digital displacement of poor people is very, very crucial, and definitely I have to address this issue, particularly having mentioned about predicting policing in the West is all about technology and crime and poor people. But probably in the context of Dhaka, I have to have a look how the new technology is being used for criminalizing the poor people. It's a definite thank you for your uh, comment, this one. And also, I'm mentioning a few things from definitely by Dr. Kazi Zahid Iqbal for your comments from legal perspectives. Definitely, I have to already I had a look on blast activities for last couple of years. And I went out, sorry, I am aware of this blast work. and I'm Suresh Kindo. And it would be helpful if you could give me some relevant cases. Yeah, just email me sometimes, which could be useful for my
Sir,
understanding
I can,
for
sir.
remedy for the poor people, remedy perspectives.
Sir, I can, sir. I can. I will.
Thank you so much. And along with Sharia, uh, yes, definitely you have explained your experience from Birmingham. Same experiences from Sydney, New York, London, everywhere. The
Thank you,
criminal
sir. Thank you.
violence, yes, that is also relevant. And Johir Islam already left here. He also mentioned about these things. He's faculty. He's doing his PhD in social legal research and criminology in Canada, and he has also mentioned about these things. And he's a faculty from Boston University. And obviously, Mahmoud Rahman, yes, it's a politicization of urban poverty is very useful terminology. Um, not only criminalizing urban poverty, it's politicization politics of urban poverty. Politicization of urban poverty is definitely an interesting term. And Daman has mentioned about what are the steps can be taken. That's a very important questions. Definitely, government and non-government organizations need to work together. Definitely, of course, local government particularly, they have to make significant steps. And also, what I have mentioned is that law matters, need some specific legal instruments, act other things for urban development issues, particularly urban law. Or I am trying to develop urban law in the context of Bangladesh, and I also I am planning to write a paper. Only one urban law center found in New York very useful. They're doing significant research in the context of US, and there are some other law schools, where I'm studying and working here in University of New South Wales Law School. Also, is a top 20 law school within top 20 law school. This one, they have some urban development, law and urban development issues. Including first one is Harvard University. They have some policies about these things, and they're developing some policies and planning. Definitely, that is also useful for other cities in the global south. I'm still reviewing their policies planning, and thinking what can be done in the context of urban planning and policies in terms of for reducing poverty, to reduce the gap. So far, this is the important things I have picked from areas, and Dr. Lastly, Ibrahim Khalil, yes, definitely I understand the climate change issues in the context of coastal cities like Sirewang, Burishal, and Khulna. Definitely, I have planned to develop another projects in future for coastal city projects, particularly three cities, Sitawang, Burishal, and Khulna. And that could be another new projects, particularly how the poor people, vulnerable people are facing problems in coastal areas and coming to the cities. Yes. I'm not sure whether I missed someone, but so far I've taken these points, and definitely I will work on it. And uh, thank you, Dr. Khurshid Alam, for the last questions. Yes, definitely, very important thing. Gender is very important issue. Next time we'll be careful. For at least I will ask some participants. I didn't actually request it like this. I thought Samina will be there, but probably she's engaged other things. Next time I will be careful about some participants from female. That will be useful, for
Thank you.
inclusion perspective. Yeah, thank
It's
you so
been
much.
like Hafazat Islam meeting without women's right without so much. Anyway, sir, thank you.
In our previous seminars, definitely we got some participants.
Professor Shahadat, you can request Lota also. She did lot of works on urban.
Lorna, yes, because I contacted Lorna, but she told me something is 11 on 12 o'clock here. She has something to report for
Okay,
particular
yeah.
day. But she's
Yeah.
coming. She's coming Sydney. We'll meet sometimes, and she'll give some feedback to me.
Certainly, and we will share the video of this lecture, certainly, and I think she could continue on this. So thank you, Professor Dr. Hossain, for this very rich and thought-provoking lecture. You have given us much to reflect upon, not only about the situation in Bangladesh, but also about the broader global trends. In today's talk, Professor Hossain connected the realities of Bangladesh with wider debates in both global south and global north, drawing on critical writings such those of David Harvey and using anthropological and ethnographic frameworks. He reminded us that poverty is increasingly being criminalized across context, from cities in the Atlantic world to the urban center of the South Asia. What we see in Bangladesh, however, therefore, is not isolated phenomena, but part of much larger global trend where homelessness, informality, and urban poverty are treated not as a social problem to be solved, but as a criminal to be contained. He also highlighted how cities must be studied through the lens of human rights. The urban poor, especially those living in slum and informal settlements, are not simply marginal populations. They are right-bearing citizens whose claim to the city must be recognized. Yet, what we observe in the opposite, rapid hyper slamization, growing insecurity, and rising violence in urban areas, alongside a process of securitization that treat the proper that treat the poor as threat to be pluralist rather than as citizen to be included. Another key point of the lecture was the urgent need to rethink urban planning. Uh, Too often, city planning has ignored or erased informal settlement. Dr. Hossain strongly argued that slums and their residents must be the part of the planning process if we are to build inclusive and equitable cities. Without their inclusion, policies reproduce exclusion and deepen inequality. The lecture also shed light on how neoliberal economic policies have worsened these challenges by commodifying land, housing, and urban space. This process produced that Dr. Hossain called insurgent citizenship, where certain groups are selectively included in the benefits of the city, while others, especially the poor, are pushed further to the peripheries. What we take away from the inaugural session is therefore a powerful message. If we want to build cities that are inclusive and just, we must confront the way in which poverty is being criminalized and poor are being securitized. We must push for policies that recognize slum dwellers not as obstacles to the development, but as center participants in shaping our shared urban future. On behalf of the Law and Policy Center, I would like to express my deep gratitude to Professor Hossain for bringing these critical questions to the fore. This lecture reminds us why research, dialogue, and reform law and policy are so urgently needed. And I would like to thank all of you, our participants, our guests, our professors, for joining this evening, engaging with these ideas, and helping us this important lecture series. So this is the beginning. We look forward to many more conversations. that challenge us think critically and work collectively towards more inclusive, equitable human cities. So, so can we say thank you all, and very good evening. If you can add something from here, or we can conclude the session.
I think we can conclude now. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Moin.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Shahadat sir,
Yes.
sir, would you mind to send me the paper you have presented today? Because I was late. Because I joined after you
Yeah.
finished your presentation.